I loved working with the characters, really probably more than shooting pictures of the icons. But there was one character meet and greet that sometimes got me in trouble. Working with the characters as a photographer at Disney was probably one of the best jobs I could ever have. I loved working with the characters. But there were a couple times that I had to be really careful to not get in trouble while I was doing it. One that comes to mind is when I worked for a brief time with the dining experience. I didn't like the dining experience. I hated going up to people while they were eating and saying,
Hey, I know there's characters coming around, you're trying to eat your food, but don't you want to buy your pictures?
hated that. But there was one memory that kind of stood out, and I did get a little bit in trouble for this. I was working at Chef Mickey's and doing my tour selling the pictures, and one of our rules was we had to make sure that we got out of the way of the guests. Out of the way of the characters when they were coming up to meet the guests. Well, I had one time that I was trying to work with these people, and they were just slow, and, oh, the pictures are nice, I don't know, and as they're taking their time with these pictures, Donald comes around, and we're supposed to get out of the way of the characters. Well, I can't get this family to do anything, and I'm trying to go, okay, I'll come back to you in a little bit, and I can't get away, and here comes Donald, and Donald's standing behind me. And so I ended up starting this whole little routine with Donald, if you would just take your time here, Duck, I could finish with these people because I've got to deal with them. Just slow down. Not quite like that, but, very obviously joking and teasing. And so Donald starts going at me a little bit. And over the course of the next hour, I made sure that I kept pointing out stuff to Donald. Hey, Donald, check out their Mickey stuff. By the way, Donald, did you haven't had this? I basically just being a tease and obnoxious to Donald, deliberately doing it where guests could see me. I actually started pausing and making sure I was working tables just in front of Donald so I could give him a little quip as I was going by, and Donald's reacting to everything, which, okay, just so you know, that's a good thing. If Donald was not having fun with it, Donald wouldn't have reacted the way he did. But in any case, we're not supposed to be part of the show. And over the course of the next hour, Donald is ribbing me and I'm ribbing Donald. And it ends up at one point where Donald is actually chasing me around Chef Mickey's. I don't remember what he had, but, and I'm laughing and running and ha, ha, ha. My manager comes in.
You're not supposed to be part of the show. They're here to see Donald, not you.
I was like, yeah, I know, but it happened. I did get to talk to Donald afterwards, and Donald was like, that was some of the most fun I've ever had. Actually, more in Donald voice. That was some of the most fun. Okay, I can't do Donald. I'm sorry. Terrible impression. But anyways, it was almost more like Daffy. Ugh. We just had a good time. But yeah, I got in a little bit of trouble for that. Because as a photographer, we're supposed to accent the characters, not become part of the show. But really the one time I would get in trouble, and it happened a few times, over at Hollywood Studios back in the days of the giant Sorcerer Mickey hat, they would do character meet and greets in the square out in front of the hat and underneath the hat. We called them hat sets. At the end of the day, 4:00-ish or so, there was a big meet and greet that also gets called Character Palooza. Basically, it is all the Fantasmic characters coming over. They're making their way over to Fantasmic. They stop over at the Chinese theater, get all ready, and they come out with this big splash surprise to meet the guests. And it's about 20 minutes of utter chaos. Here they come, set up, boom, 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 boom. Take as many pictures as you can and go. Now, as photographers, this is an unofficial set, so we didn't have assigned characters. There were certain characters that we were supposed to gravitate towards, like Minnie and Pluto and Goofy and Donald, and the Chipmunks and a couple others. And depending upon our staffing levels, we may get those covered. And if we had those covered, we could sometimes drift over to other characters, as long as there wasn't license agreements like with Alice sometimes that we weren't supposed to shoot. So there were a handful of characters we were not supposed to shoot. There were characters we were definitely supposed to target first, and then there was kind of up to you. One of the ones I absolutely loved working with was Cruella de Vil. Cruella was amazing. She was obnoxious, she was mean, she was a villain, she was hysterically funny, and she almost never had a photographer. And I got to know Cruella a little bit. Cruella, depending upon her mood, didn't like to have a photographer with her because in those 20 minutes, it was like the boom, boom, get as fast as you can, go, 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 go. And Cruella would be high demand. But I was fast, and I was good. Took good pictures, did them quick, didn't slow down, go, okay, everybody, look here, 1, 2, what's after 2? No, it was like, hey, look here, boom, boom, boom. And I could grab the guest cameras and I could shoot quick and fast, and I could actually move people through Cruella. So when Cruella was in a good mood, she liked having me and a couple other photographers come over and shoot. But we really weren't supposed to shoot Cruella. She was low on the priority list as far as the ones who make those decisions go. Hey, we want these other characters first. But anytime I saw an opportunity, let's see, they're covered. Hey, Cruella, how are you today? So I had a few times I snuck in and I shot pictures of Cruella because we happened to have enough photographers. And oh, I'm sorry, in the chaos, I didn't realize that they weren't covered. So I ended up at Cruella.
You're not supposed to cover Cruella.
Well, yeah, but there wasn't anybody there, and she was available. And
you're not supposed to cover Cruella.
Sorry? Forgiveness is better than permission. I think after the 4th or 5th time, that was when they kind of realized I had a system going, and they started assigning me to different spots around the time of Character Palooza. I don't understand quite what happened there, but I loved drifting over, and yeah, I got in a little bit of trouble for shooting Cruella just a few times too many, but it was worth it. Oh my goodness, it was worth it. Because at the time, there weren't a whole lot of villains out doing meet and greets. So those rare times that you could get one, yeah, went for it. But those Character Palooza sets were crazy. Like I said, they were the ultimate example of what we called hug and shove. Because you would have 20 characters all come out at once, just a big flood. And it was unpredictable. You didn't always know who was going to be there because it depended upon who was there that day. So it would change. It was really unpredictable. And we wouldn't know exactly who we were shooting until we got there. And we might have 3 photographers. We might have 8 photographers. And we'd walk into the Chinese theater and look around and say, okay, who's here? Who's not? Who's covering this? Who's going with that? And we try to work with the characters before we ever went out. So that way, in the chaos and confusion, because once guests realized these characters are coming out, it was like a flood zone. I mean, you defend your characters here. And then they wouldn't leave and go back to the Chinese theater. They would actually all get together and head off towards Phantasmic. So you had to play crowd control too. And yeah, it definitely got a little bit crazy sometimes because you're trying to get so many guests through. You're trying to line up with the characters, trying to make sure that you and them are on the same page while doing all this. And that last hat set was just crazy, but it was fun most of the time. I don't like the high-paced hug and shove. Working the Power Rangers, for example, was terrible because they're just bang, 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 bang. And I mean, your hand in 20 minutes would actually hurt because you're shooting so many pictures. But those character hat sets, you would find some times to get a little goofy, and there's so many characters, they would yell at each other and mess around a little bit. You're still trying to get the characters through, but, Cruella, for example, would look over at Pluto, and she'd hold up her goat and go, puppies! And not ugly ones like that one! And just, like I said, fun stuff. Loved it. Yeah, when I wasn't getting in trouble. So do you have stories of meeting all these characters at the Character Palooza and surprise encounters with the characters? I would love to hear them. Please share them in the comments below. Don't forget to check that description. There's a ton of info. Hit that like button, share, and subscribe. 30,000 subs coming up. Let's get there. I got a huge blowout planned. Let's hit that 30,000 mark. Thank you so incredibly much for watching. Thank you to my patrons and supporters as well for their support. I couldn't do it without them. Thank you so much. God bless. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions, your ideas. Be sure to share them in the comments below, or you can contact me. There's information in the description that has my email address, fan pages, information about merchandise, and so much more. So be sure to check that out. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, and if you haven't already, hit the button right up there to subscribe. And in fact, if you did enjoy this, I've even got another video for you right here. And also about these wonderful people here, those are my YouTube members and my patrons, the ones whose financial support makes this possible. I couldn't do it without them. If you want to know more about that and the perks that come with it, well, be sure to check the description. There's a link right down there. Thank you so incredibly much. God bless.